Today we're going to be taking a look at the Necromunda Zone Mortalis floor tile set. Alright, and this is the brand new set that just came out. You get 4 of the floor tiles in it, and they're the Zone Mortalis style, all plastic. And let's take a look at these bad boys. And they are all 4 exactly the same, but if you spin them, you'll notice like subtle little differences in them. We want to get like a real dark brown undercoat. You'll barely be able to tell. It's almost like a black. And then we're going to come in just a little bit like a gray color over that, lighten it up a little bit. And then finally we're going to hit it with the with a little bit of lead belcher and give it like the metallic look. But we still want like some of the grit to shine through, like the non-metallic. And then we'll go through afterwards and add in like some detail and some wearing and everything. So again, these are pre-shaken pretty good, but here goes. And this doesn't need to be uniform either, because we're not looking for like a perfect look. We're looking for like a little bit of gritty. So you might have some spots where you hit a little bit more. But overall, we want to just start with a light coat, so it's going to dry fast. Because what we're going to do is get down in a couple of the cracks in here around these things, and that's going to give like sort of a darker stay to them and kind of an accent, whether you look at them as like, I don't know, like a drainage or a vent or whatever. Just make them stand out a little bit more. And basically just sort of like simulate like natural or like above light. Even though there's no sun around here and this is like deep underhive, you know, we basically just want to make sure that we have plenty of light here. Kind of like, you know, simulated through our paint scheme. And you'll see we're already starting to like, you know, pick out a little bit of that detail. And you gotta keep in mind too, if we get these a little more white than we want, that's okay, because they're going to have like a nice little metallic accent and everything on them when we finish. But we're basically just looking sort of pick out some details and, you know, get a little bit of like cheat the paint, get a little bit of free detail work done for us. So a little bit of that metallic look now. And we're not looking to lose all the color work we did. We're just looking to add to it. Alright, so we let everything dry for just a couple minutes, and just going to come back and just hit it with a little bit of X or something. I mean, it all looks pretty good. Just want to add a little bit of like randomness back into it. We don't want to go too crazy with this coat either. This is literally just to add a little extra something in. Overall, that looks pretty good. That looks like what we're looking to go with now. While that was going on, I did do a couple of things here. I went ahead and made this. And what it is a cutout pattern. So you'll basically just be able to cut the white out. And you'll be left with that. And then the idea is I measured out the deployment zones and then went ahead and took the box and I cut out a couple patterns in the box. Now bear with me here. The idea is, and the measurements will all be posted up and everything, so you can do this yourself. From here to here is 2 inches. That's a 1 inch strip, so it's 3 inches to the edge. From here to here is 6 inches. There's a little extra to make up for if there was a base in the center there. The idea is you can put this on here with the tile in it correctly pushed up, and then you'll be able to spray it. Go to the next tile. Same thing. And you'll be able to get essentially the pattern on here, which in this case is going to be, it's going to be our striping pattern, which we're going to do in yellow, and then we'll do a red around that circle right there. And then when it's all said and done, we'll take this bad boy and put it in the center of the 4 pieces. So we'll basically have the deployment zone mapped out. We'll have a nice little pattern with some cool little stuff. Alright, and picking back up where we left off, if you did like we said on the patterns and you followed along, you're basically going to end up with 2 pieces to the box. The first piece is literally just going to have this cut out in it, and the second one has this cut out in it, and you overlay them correctly. That's the whole idea. And what you're going to do is you're going to basically pick, say this is the exact board how it's going to go. We're going to go around and put a black stripe on each of these pieces. And then we'll go back afterwards, lay that pattern on, and then we'll put a yellow stripe. And then when it's all said and done, we'll have like this side effect right here. And then for the center, we're going to do red. So we'll have a red circle around the middle. And then for our skull Necromunda symbol, we're going to do white. And that's going to go in the middle of all 4 tiles. We're trying to avoid overspray. Again, we're going to get it nice and tight in that corner there. That was probably the perfect example of what not to do for overspray. And remember, because it's terrain, doesn't need to be perfect. It's going to get quite a bit of weathering. sure to keep it tight in that corner. Picking up where we left off, basically we just took our next piece and just ran some tape along the inside of it. And now we're going to line it up with the pattern on here. And basically just going to put it on a flat surface. Give it a nice little squish down there, so it's sitting nice. And just trying to get a good little red around that ring right there. Just applying a little bit of pressure. Keep it as tight as possible so you get a nice clean ring. And there you see, now there. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. We're just looking to get the effect we want. Get something on the table looking good, you know, without killing ourselves. Because a lot of times, I'm guilty of this, probably just like a lot of people are. A lot of times I won't finish something because I'll get hung up on something, or I want it to be perfect and I don't have the right paint, or, you know, I don't have the right basing material, or whatever your excuse is, you know, we're all guilty of it. And in all honesty, I have like a lot of those models years later, and I still never finish them. And it's like, damn, I'd have rather done a mediocre job and had something finished and on the table and had fun with it, you know, than potentially never even finish it. But, you know, it's halfway amazing. And, you know, that's what this Necromunda deal is going to be all about. You know, we were in the Necromunda years ago, and, you know, it was a ton of fun. It was one of the best games we played. And, you know, awesome, fond memories. And then when they brought it back, it just, I mean, we tried to get excited for it, but, you know, the starter set basically had no terrain in it. You're playing like on a 2D board. It almost just felt like a, like in the dawn of like the terrain era, it just felt like it was missing something. And, you know, we never even got into the game. I never even got to play it because it just failed to generate interest. And now, you know, it's kind of funny hearing people, you know, complaining about the zone Mortalis and, you know, whatever their arguments are with it. Because it's like, well, the first Necromunda was a total flop and they didn't give us the terrain and it was just weak. And then this time, it's the complete opposite. They go like completely overboard for us and give us this amazing terrain set. And now people still finding a reason to complain. You know, it is a lot of money for just a regular hobbyist, but when you compare it to other hobbies, you know, for grown men, like, it's really not that bad what we spend, you know. And unlike a lot of other hobbies, Warhammer, especially once you paint it and put time into it and make it look nice, you know, it holds its value very well. One might even argue, you know, it appreciates to the right people. So yeah, the glove technique was probably a little messier than it was worth, but, you know, I kept it pretty tight. Essentially, you know, accomplished what we were going for here, which is got a little bit of an under eye feel to it. Hang on. Oh yeah. That's the start of a nice board right there, I think. That's our goal right there. So I do want to let the red just dry for a couple minutes though first, and then basically have to just cover up everything for the rest of the boards before we can do this here. But you know, what I'm actually thinking about doing is, obviously I'm going to be doing yellow around the outside there, but you know, I'm tempted to do the stripes first in white and then hand paint them in yellow because it gives like a cleaner final look. And remember, our main goal here is not to like perfectly do everything, but it's essentially just to put the stencil down so then we can trace it with the freehand when we do the yellow with the brush. Oh yeah, so we can basically see, you know, what we're working with. Alright, last one. I'm trying not to change the angle too much to get like that single line. It's not going to be perfect, obviously. Not quite as clean as what I would hope for, but you know, you can see the lines essentially. And when I go back through and darken up in between, they'll stand out even more, and then when the yellow's in and outline it, etc. But obviously not perfect, but for what it is and the amount of time, you know, not necessarily total time and effort that we put into it, because you can always add to it, whatever, along the way, make it look nicer, clean it up, rough it up, whatever you want to do. But just like start to table, that's what we're going for. Like I said, with the tape on the back, it'll give us a decent little hug. Well, shall we see? And keep in mind that, you know, although obviously I've done many of these, you know, techniques before and everything, that, you know, I am doing this with you guys live here. So let's see how we got final product and what you could potentially expect. Yeah, and I think if we clean that up a little bit, you know, that could look pretty nice. But, you know, that's our first few steps done. I'm going to dry a little more, and then we're going to go back in and clean it up with the paintbrush. A little bit of freehand touch-ups, clean up some of the line work, and, you know, see what we can basically get out of this. But overall, very happy with how it looks so far, and no doubt in my mind we can make this thing look awesome.